I have ulcerative colitis, chronic condition, which means it never goes away. There's no cure.
Must have been devastating.
It was. And the first thought that came to my mind is like, oh my gosh, who's going to want to marry me? I don't know why at 16, that was my first thought. I was literally just 16. And my second thought was, am I ever going to have kids? I had just turned 21. It was around that time. And I had this feeling like, I think I want to get married. Like, I really want to just settle down and just, one thing I love to do is volunteer at hospitals. I used to go to patients with cancer, specifically kids. And then a cousin of mine had a baby that was sick, and he spent months in the ICU at Columbia Hospital. And I always wanted to do Shabbos shifts. And every time I would ask her about it, she would say, it's taken. My husband's friend is going to do it.
So we ended up switching of shifts.
You were the cousin.
I was the cousin, and he was the husband's friend.
Yeah.
God has a plan where a baby could become a matchmaker of two people. And bring
That's
them
actually
together.
what happened, yeah.
Hello, and welcome back to another special episode of Stories of Hope. It took me 1 full year to get this special couple in our studio, Chana Hindy and Yossi Tauber from Hollywood, Florida. It was so clear to me that God rolled out the red carpet for this couple because there was so much hashgacha pratis, divine intervention, that played a role in them being here today. And you'll hear it within the very few minutes of you starting this episode. I am so excited. New topic, new demographic, trying to cover everything special for our SOH community. And before we start, I want to welcome you to give tzedakah with me on the Kol Chabad Tzedakah Pushka app, one of my favorite apps and such an easy way to make a difference. I want to welcome you to join me in giving tzedakah in the merit of everyone watching this episode. Whatever you're hoping to find, may God grant that to you this week. May you see it this week very, very, very clearly. When your pushka is full, Kol Chabad gives this money to orphans to help support them in paying for their wedding. It's a very special cause. And if you're looking for a special cause and a special place to give your tzedakah, it's so easy, simply by downloading the app. So you all know I'm a big fan of Raquel Couture, and I'm really excited because my friend is getting married. And in addition to having bridal gowns and wedding gowns, they also have evening dresses. So Raquel Couture caters to anyone. If you're the friend, if you're the bride, if you're the sister or the parent, they are the top industry for bridal wear. They customize, tailor, and have beautiful, unique pieces that are just sitting there, ready for you to try them on. Conveniently located in Brooklyn, New York, and Lakewood, it's just like the best place to go to. And what's super cool is if you mention Stories of Hope, you get 5% off your beautiful piece. So go someplace where quality is not compromised and service is top notch so that you can look as beautiful as you deserve to feel at Raquel Couture. Check them out on Instagram to see their beautiful pieces, and check them out in your local city or drive down there. It'll be worth it to find that perfect piece that you've been looking for. So get comfortable for a special episode of Stories of Hope. Hi, I'm Tzipora Grodko, and this is the Stories of Hope podcast. Yossi, why don't you start us off? Help us get to know where you're from and a little bit about your background.
Okay. I'm from Borough Park, could you tell? And I went to Chassidische Cheder, and there isn't much in Chassidische Cheder. You just get by. And I yearned for a little bit more whenever I was able to catch a glimpse of more. And I just went through the system, almost regular. My parents did divorce, and both remarried, and we have a very nice blended family. We're actually getting all together next week Shabbos we're making up shit for the Simcha. So we're going to have a very nice Shabbos. And I waited a little to get engaged. I was very over the hill, 22.
Is that over the hill?
That's painful. Yeah.
Especially because he had been in Shidduchim since you were, 19?
Yeah, my brother got married when I was 18. 19, yeah, maybe 19. So
you start young.
Right away, you're next.
Yeah. And when people start, usually how soon after they start do they then get engaged?
I don't know when they get engaged, or in their mind, they get engaged the next day.
Okay. Like on a Monday, someone can say, I want to start dating.
And
then
you
by Thursday,
the first name that comes up, you're like, this is the one.
When you jump in seriously.
Right. The shidduch system is completely different than the dating system. And for whoever it's designed for, I think it works. I do think I'm a very strong believer of the shidduch system. I spoke to someone who's like about Shiva and out of town, and he was very upset at the shidduch system. Like, it's not even meant for you. I don't know how you got into the shidduch system. I don't know which shadchan even took your call. You're not the clientele. It's not for you. Dating works for different people. It's a whole different crowd. But the shidduch system I think it's a very good system. But there is that expectation of once a name comes up, it's probably a good shidduch.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I was 22, just after 22, right? And I did go out with one girl before, and that wasn't a good thing. And yeah, people say, should I go on? Should I go on? Or is that enough?
No. I'd love. I mean, I'm really curious to hear because I want our listeners to really appreciate and understand what it's like and how it's different.
Sure.
Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So over there was very much the expectation of it's gonna happen, and sometimes when you say no, the other side already imagined the picket fence and the two kids and the dog and like the whole, like, have everything figured out. There's gonna be go out 2 times and you get the pressure. You get the pressure of someone is already having expectations, so you can't say no. How could you say no? They're already having a kid in their mind. They're already up to like,
when we meet, it's meeting like
right. Usually when you meet,
engaged.
You did all the information already. So now it's just up to personalities. But personality is what matters most. We leave that for last. So it wasn't a good idea, a good fit, really.
And so that time frame that they take in researching the other person, they're probably doing a lot of it. How long does that usually take?
It depends. It's on case-by-case basis. It depends who's the shadchan. Is the shadchan that knows both sides? The shadchan doesn't know anyone. Do the family have a point of reference? Usually, like the family will, my aunt went to the bungalow colony with this one. So like that's like the in-between, the go-betweens, like both. Sometimes we don't know. With us, we'll get to it. We knew, let's say I knew a lot. I was able to pick up a lot. But my side, we didn't do almost any information over here. Right.
Our families know each other.
It's a different.
So is it usually like a week? Is it usually a
depends.
Month?
It could be.
It always depends.
It took a while
very,
for us.
Very nuanced for us, but still there.
Yeah.
It took a few weeks. We did a lot of information, and we were very okay with the situation. But when push came, like in the actual bisho, it's called a bisho. When the boy, it's like this. This is a bisho. This
it literally
podcast
looks like this.
Is a bisho.
You sit across.
Yeah, if people want to understand what a podcast,
cool.
what a bisho is, it's a podcast.
Podcast without the cameras,
right? And
with parents in the other room.
Right.
So it's pretty close.
There's no producer, but there is.
And how long do you usually sit for in the show?
I would say on average an hour, I think, for the first one.
Yeah.
Would say about an hour, yeah.
And then is there usually a second one? Or is that usually the engagement?
No, and I think nowadays people are more into having a couple. A couple could mean 2 or more.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if the average is 2 or 3. But one is there is a crowd for that, for sure. But I don't think most Hasidim have just one.
Okay. So before meeting this person at the basho, you know everything that you need to know about them?
About the family, about yeah, different oberflächliche things. How do you say that in English? Outwardly things.
Okay. And then if you decided during the basho that you wanted to marry this person, would you ask them? Or
no,
absolutely not.
No. It has to go through the proper chains of command.
Okay.
It's like it has to be a peaceful transition of power. It's like not at all something.
Okay.
You talk very, very,
very general topics.
General topic. Like nothing that touches the surface at all in the first show.
Okay.
And anyway, so I did have pressure to continue. I did have a lot of pressure to continue. In the end, I said, we're going to ask this person is actually a character in our story. He was my manal in yeshiva and my chusen madrich, which is a chusen teacher.
Yeah.
And he ended up being my shadchan. We didn't know that then. But I called him and I told him what I'm feeling, and he said in Yiddish, a shidduch darf ziehen, ob sie zieht nicht, ist nicht. It has to pull you, it has to tug at you. If it doesn't tug, it's not a shidduch. And everybody kind of backed off. In the background, there was still noise, but nobody came to me with pressure anymore after that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because I feel like sometimes people do apply pressure and then it doesn't lead to the right choices.
True. And that happens. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, but I think it happens everywhere. Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
not.
Wow. Okay, so I'll pause you here. Thank you for explaining. Chana Hindy, what was your experience like growing up? What was your background like? And how did that affect your trajectory when you started dating?
So I grew up, I always have a hard time explaining what type my family is, because when I tell someone who's Hasidish that I'm Hasidish, they're like, what makes you Hasidish? What Rebbe do you follow? We weren't that type of Hasidish, but then when I tell someone on the other end, like that I'm not like, I don't know how to say it, like that I'm not so Hasidish, then they're like, what do you mean you are Hasidish?
Yeah.
Your husband wears a shtreimel. So I guess somewhere in the middle. I went to school a little more to the right of Beis Yaakov. And I was a very quiet introvert. I processed everything internally. And then when I was around 15, I started experiencing really interesting, scary symptoms. I didn't know what to make of them first. So I just did nothing. I just wished them away. And as time went on, it only got worse. Things got much worse pretty quickly. And then in February of 2012, things got really bad. My mother started picking up on things. She asked me certain questions and I actually lied about it. I was so scared. She thought I had a stomach virus. So she took me to our family doctor and he drew some blood and he said he's going to call the next day with results. This was on a Sunday. The next day was President's Day. I was getting ready to go to school and the phone rang. So I answered the phone and it was our family doctor. And he asked to speak to my mother. So I gave my mother the phone and I watched my mother literally turn pale. She started like literally shaking and she hung up the phone and she said, we need to go to the hospital. She was so scared she couldn't find her car keys. She was like fumbling around. It was actually in the spot where it usually was, but she ended up finding them and we went to the hospital. I was very sick, very sick. The first question the doctor asked is if we have a family history of Crohn's. I had no idea what that was. We said no. They did a few tests and then they admitted me to the hospital. The next day, the doctor told me they're going to do a procedure where they put a camera in to see what's going on. They put me to sleep for it. When I woke up, I was just 16. I knew nothing about any of these things. And I remember the doctor showed me the pictures of they couldn't even do a regular colonoscopy. It was too inflamed. They couldn't even get in. But there were just some pictures and it looked awful, terrible. She said she'll come into my room later and explain. She came up to my room later. This was February 21, 2012. And she told me that I have ulcerative colitis. It's a chronic condition, which means it never goes away. There's no cure. There are treatments. But at that moment, I was so sick, I didn't see a future. I thought that for the rest of my life, this is what I'm going to be like. Like I've always seen those like really sickly people in wheelchairs, like for the rest of their life. I thought that's going to be me.
Must have been devastating.
It was. And the first thought that came to my mind is like, oh my gosh, who's going to want to marry me? I don't know why at 16, that was my first thought. I was literally just 16. But I guess being in such a scary moment, like just like suddenly like what really matters in life, like comes to the forefront. And my second thought was, am I ever going to have kids? And then I guess this was a way of comforting myself. I told myself that maybe the vision I had for the person I'm going to marry changed, but the actual person who I'm meant to marry didn't change. Now, this is an important piece. It's going to come back to the story later. It took a while for me to start healing and to get to a better place with my health. But slowly, I started healing. it took about, I would say, like 2 years till I got to like a functional place again.
Wow.
And once I was functional again, I didn't even want to get married. Like I was like, I just want to like live my life. I guess I felt like I missed out in 2 years. So like now's my time to experience that. So I just spent those 3 years, just literally just living my life. One thing I love to do was volunteer at hospitals. I used to go to patients with cancer, specifically kids. And then a cousin of mine had a baby that was sick. And he spent months in the ICU at Columbia Hospital. And my aunt has an organization, and she was the one who arranged all the shifts. So she asked me, she's like, I want you to stop focusing on any other kids. This is your cousin. He's important. Start focusing only on him. So I was in touch with the mother of this baby directly. And I used to go every Thursday night. And I always wanted to do Shabbos shifts. And every time I would ask her about it, she would say, it's taken. My husband's friend is going to do it. Do you want to say your side of the story?
Yeah, sure. So I have a friend that I was in we were in the Mir. So my first Shabbos that I went to the Mir, we had Shabbos morning wait. It's called Shabbos lunch, something I learned from Florida. And we spoke, and then I barely knew his name, and he got engaged that week to my cousin's cousin. So in the Hasidic world, it's very close. And we spent the rest of the next year till he got married, almost a year till he got married. We were close. He got married and he had his first son. And at some point, he went to the hospital. He wasn't doing well. And I did shifts. I usually took the shifts that nobody wanted. Thursday night, Motzei Shabbos. In the beginning, they didn't want anyone to do Shabbos, but then I didn't. Usually, I went, but with another, the mutual cousin or someone else, another friend. And I remember second day Pesach, I think it was a very difficult time to find anyone. We went, and then came Shavuos. Shavuos was, I think, Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday. And I asked him before Yom Tov, I have to make plans. Am I doing Shabbos or am I doing Shavuos? So he said he doesn't know because there's the cousin. We'll see who does which one. Either you'll do Shabbos, and why? Because they wanted to come. They wanted to be their Shavuos, and they didn't want to have to sleep in the hospital. So they got an apartment to sleep in, but they wanted to volunteer. They wanted someone they would have by the meal with them. So someone they know was either me or the cousin. So what that ended up happening is the cousin went for Shabbos, but I took Motzei Shabbos. I took Motzei Shabbos shift and I took Shvius. And Motzei Shabbos, I was a Monsey and they were a Monsey. They lived in Marburg, but they were a Monsey. They ended up driving me in, and they're gonna pick up the volunteer, the cousin, to take her back to Monsey. So we ended up switching off shifts.
You were the cousin.
She was
I was
Shabbos.
a cousin, and he was the husband's friend.
Yeah, she was there Shabbos. I was there Motzei Shabbos, and then I went back for Shvius. And I did not meet her. I didn't see her, but I peeked. I saw, like, I went out of the car. She came in, whatever.
I did not see him. I have no memory of that.
Oh. And yeah, so Shvius, we were eating together, and he told me that he has a shidduch for me, that he thought he has a cousin, but they didn't want, they weren't listening. She had an older sibling. So that was that. Right?
Yeah. I forgot to mention that I had an older brother also. In the Hasidic world, we try not to skip, even if it's a brother and a sister. So I knew I had no pressure. And my mother especially, my brother really wanted to get married. I was not in a rush. But I remember around that time, the reason why I loved the volunteering was because, especially with this baby, he unfortunately was just asleep all the time. So I just went to just sit there. And like I mentioned, I love processing things internally and like just being stuck in my thoughts. So I got to do that a lot there. And I remember around this time, I came to the hospital for this baby. And I suddenly had this like feeling of like, I think I want to get married. I had just turned 21. It was around that time. And I had this feeling like, I think I want to get married. Like I really want to just settle down and just, I didn't really think it was a very possible thing because, again, my brother was still single. But I do remember that feeling coming up very strongly for me.
And at this time, what I admire is you kept repeating, I wanted to do what was best for me. And I didn't think it was best for me to start going out yet. Even though your brother was still single, did your friends think that was crazy? Did people think that was unusual, that you didn't start shidduchim yet?
No, I've never been the type to really discuss these things with people. So I guess nobody even knew.
Oh, so people in general don't really talk about shidduchim.
Me.
You don't. Okay.
I'm
so
a
people
real
respect your
introvert.
privacy. Yeah.
I also forgot to mention, very important part of my story is when I was 17, my parents separated. It was a pretty messy divorce. They didn't divorce actually till like about a year ago. So my family situation was also a big mess. And at that point, I was like, for sure, there's no way I'm going to get married. Who's going to want to marry me now? So I had that on my shoulder too.
That concept of who's going to want to marry me now because things don't look the way they're supposed to, according to an expectation that makes no sense, but that society has created, is one that we work so hard to try to eliminate at our podcast, at our community. So I appreciate you both bringing that honesty in this room so that if someone's listening and they're Hasidish and their family doesn't look the way it's quote unquote supposed to, they can find comfort in knowing that there's no way things are supposed to be. Man is not in charge. God has a plan where a baby who isn't even cognizant, but a baby could become a matchmaker of two people and bring them together.
That's actually what happened, yeah. Also, people have boxes for you. So you can't go out of your box because I put you in a box, right? Like you can't change a certain aspect of your life. You can't move or you can't do something, marry a certain person because now I'm going to feel uncomfortable because you moved out of your box. That's the society we live in.
I think also because in the Hasidish world, we mostly go off of information. Whatever people see is what they know about you. So people will judge based on what they know. We don't really get a chance to just be ourselves and rely on that for connection.
We'll be right back to our episode, but first, a quick message from Alaska. You might remember Chaya Sarah, who shared her story on Stories of Hope of how she nearly gave up on marriage when she was approaching 40, until she did the 40 days of tefillah at the Kotel, which is when she shortly met Yossi. But here's what many people don't know. Great Rabbanim, including Rav Scheinberg, Zichron Livracha, have said that someone else can daven the 40 days in your place. And that's where the Western Wall prayer comes in. Run by the widow of the hidden tzaddik of the Old City, Gershon Bird, Alav Hashem, who himself did the 40 days before meeting and marrying his wife. They pair you with a sincere and Yarei Shemayim Ben Torah who's currently living in the Old City. They compose a prayer specifically for you, and that person will pray at the Kotel for 40 days, whether it's for a shidduch, parnasa, a child, whatever is in your heart. You'll know who's davening for you, and they'll know what you choose to share. And your donation, it supports their Torah learning and family in Yerushalayim at a very, very tough time. And it's tax deductible. So start now, Rosh Chodesh Elul through Yom Kippur, the most important time of the year that determines what happens to you and your family this upcoming year, 5776. Please, let's celebrate in more simchas together. So visit them at westernwallprayers.org, and they hope they can make a difference in your life while you're making a difference in theirs. If you've ever wanted something more than anything in the world, then you've probably tried a segula or two. And if you're anything like me, then you've been dejected and disappointed when it seems like it didn't work. And that's why I love this organization called Better Than a Segula. Like their name, we learn on Simchas Torah, Ein Segula Ketorah. There is no better segula than Torah study. What this organization does is they have a group of Torah scholars that will learn something on your behalf in the zechus of what you want. And even better, the entire process is personalized. They can study a certain daf in the Gemara for 40 days, whatever you want, whatever speaks to your heart, whatever you connect to, you can let them know. So if this is something that you would find supportive, inspiring, and encouraging, you can contact them by either clicking the show notes below or take out your phone and call them at 732-364-7029. That's betterthanasegula.org, Better Than a Segula. an organization that's there to support you in the way that they know how to and in the way that they can. So what happens if the information people are receiving doesn't look the way they think it should look?
That's why people are very into building an image.
Yeah.
But
It's all about the information. In some societies in the Hasidic community, I had a Magachir, a Rebbe, when we were 13. So that's what, I don't know which grade, 9th grade, I think, right?
8th or 9th.
8th or 9th, right? So he said his opening for the year, for the school year, right? I wasn't even 13. He said that fathers of girls call me when their girls are this age to start asking for shalichim. So you kind of like, you better behave, because now is when it starts. Life starts now. And your pre-bar mitzvah and shidduchim. Like, I laughed internally, but some people might take it, even if you don't take it seriously, it's there. It's put out there. Shidduchim start now.
And I think that's why when I had just turned 16 and I got sick, that was the first thing that came to my mind. Because people are going to know. And like,
right. It's all about.
That's what they're going to see.
And what do you think that sort of attitude does to someone when they're 13?
So it depends. Some people will start putting up a front because I have to now fit the part that people want. I have to fit into that box.
Yeah.
I can't move out of the box because people want me in the box. So I have to be and there are hundreds of boxes, but no, I have to be in the box that the other person put me in.
So instead of being motivated to develop into the best person you should be,
right,
you feel pressured to become the person that you think everyone else wants you to be.
Yeah.
And in my case, my parents actually wanted to keep my diagnosis a secret. Nobody should know. Because who's going to want to marry me if they know?
And then let's say, and like, oh, I can't imagine being in that place and having that and feel like it's a chisaron and something to be shameful of, that I'll be less wanted because of this. How does that affect the relationship after the wedding when information that's hidden now comes up? What's the game plan for after?
So that's why I very much was very strong about, we're not going to keep this a secret. At least not in shidduchim. I did start opening up a little bit, like a few years later. I started telling like one person. It was extremely scary. Now with my Instagram page where I share my journey, I get this message so often, like, how do you start sharing? How do you find support? I would say start with one person. It's extremely scary, but you have to start somewhere. And I had this very strong belief that we're not going to keep it a secret when it comes to shidduchim. Some people are very into like, when do you tell? Like after you meet once or twice. I said, please tell before we even meet, so that if he wants to be great, otherwise I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah, because it seems like there's this belief that he won't want you.
Yeah.
And the math doesn't add up because, well, this is me. So what happens if he got a version that isn't even me?
So I actually didn't know. The shadchan decided to not tell.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we didn't do very deep research because we'll get to it.
Yeah, let's go back a little bit.
Right. So should I go? My mother told me one day, I know this girl was read so it's my father's first cousin. So a cousin, I was close. He was in Yeshiva. I knew him. He's, I trusted him. And I heard the name. I went to shul to daven. And that's why we daven. That's the reason.
To collect data.
Yeah. We reconcile data. And I came home and I said, this is it. Like, not this is it, like I marry her, but it's a good name. It's like there's levels of how serious you take a shidduch. This is serious. So I told my mother how I know. It's like, this is the girl, the volunteer. I put it together. So my mother already knew who to call to gather information. But we didn't like turn over the world to get information because it kind of made sense based on what we knew. My friend's cousin, my friend already thought of the shidduch. I had very strong belief. If someone knows you, not family. I don't believe family is shadchanim. Or usually, I don't know. My experience, family doesn't really know you. They don't. They have not even an elementary understanding of you. It's friends that know you. And if a friend, I had a shidduch that a family member read a few times, and it came even from more than one place, and it was like not even serious, because I had a friend that was a first cousin that knew me well, and he never thought of it, so it was very suspicious to me. She's 21, and he knows that she needs a shidduch. He knows me. I didn't even take it seriously. Over here, I knew my friend wanted this, he read it, and now it's coming from a different place, whatever. So we kind of didn't really do a lot of information, but the shidduch did take a very long time. It took, I would say, about 3 months, which is very long before even going out. It was 2 months before even meeting anything serious. Just took a very long time.
The research aspect.
On her side.
For us to say yes.
For her to say we're serious, to start the meeting process.
Okay. I have a question.
Sure.
Where, like, the research, like in my head, I'm picturing like the FBI of networking. What does that look like? Because you have to, if you're someone that people are asking, you have to really know your stuff to be telling the truth, to be saying it accurately. What does the research look like?
You wish. Okay, go ahead.
So we didn't have to do much research.
No, but in general, she wants them for other people.
You talk about that, because I'm not.
So you should, everything you said is the way it should be. But some people don't. Some people don't know what to say. Some people are not very well prepared. And it's a problem. But it's something that people should be cognizant about, when how to answer a certain question and how to share but not overshare. And it's true, the FBI is out there to get you. And you have to be very careful when being asked about a shidduch. You can't lie, and you can't... I had someone I came to my friends, someone I knew, and I came to the L'chaim, and the father of the Kala told me, kind of like, I can't say I made the shidduch, but whatever you said helped. Why? Because he was like more of a shticky person, more like a fancy, very rich, wealthy background, and he wanted to know if the guy would wash dishes. And I did share that. I said, yeah, even if he's like starched from head to toe, he will cuff up his shirt, put on gloves, but he'll do the dishes and it was true. But you have to know how to share and what to share, and that makes a huge difference. It could be in someone else's life I was wrong. I wronged someone, could be, I don't know, but it is very sensitive. Yeah, information is a very big key, because people really go on the information.
Right. Whoa. Okay, thanks for sharing.
So, like I mentioned, my brother was still single, so I wasn't really in shidduchim. But then somebody suggested his name, and we knew the Taubers. Just our grandparents know each other.
Kind of related. Also,
we share a bunch of relatives. Yeah. Like my mother was extremely comfortable. She got very excited about this name, so she started doing some research. And the more research you did, the more excited you got. So we decided to go ahead with it. But this took, like we said, a while. And by the time we finally agreed to meet, this was mentioned, it was suggested in December. By the time we met, it was February.
And were you uncomfortable with Yossi's age? Were you uncomfortable with
I didn't know his age. I honestly didn't know much about his background. I trusted my mother.
Okay. And is there a lot of that trust with parents, that they're taking care of everything and I can just come?
Usually, like I would say most. Yeah, it's the parents that really do it. And yeah, in many cases, parents should ask their kids what the kid wants, because sometimes there is a divide and it's unspoken. But I would say in general, the parents are pretty much on the ball with their kids, what their kids want.
My mother had
Some people are selfish, but I'm not going to say that's the rule. The rule is that most parents have a very good sense of the 80%. They know of what the kid wants or needs.
My mother had very high standards for us, more than what I thought I was even worthy of. So I trusted her.
Beautiful.
So she shared that she has Crohn's, but we didn't get it. I got from the shadchan throughout the 3 months. There is still something else. Like, even though I was pushing, like, okay, we give a yes. Are they giving yes or no? He said, there's still something else. Oh, not gonna, whatever, I'm gonna share, I'm gonna tell you, blah, blah, give me the runaround. I think it was on his own volition, but everything has its purpose. So first thing that happened was I met her grandparents, her mother. And that same night, she met my mother. So it's like we take it slowly before the girl and the boy meet. Just first want to feel it out,
That's first, like, stage one.
There's some people have a stage before where it's like spying. You said FBI, so we'll give that analogy. We'll like have the girl walk down a certain aisle and say, like, say Eichler's, and we'll pretend like we're shopping, and we'll see her, and then we could. Some people do that.
Does she know that she's about to be
spied
on at Eichler's?
Most of the times, yeah.
And it's like the most normal thing.
By certain crowds, yeah, it's very normal.
Cool.
I'm glad I didn't have to do that.
And does she know what the parents look like?
I would say it's a case-by-case basis, but probably not.
Okay.
It's like not about that. It's like the shotgun says, now go in. The shotgun says, okay, you can leave.
So does that mean that people don't share pictures?
By now, pictures are much. We shared pictures, but I think even with pictures, people would, I think in certain crowds, I don't know, people still do that. Go to Eichler's to check out the girl. Doesn't happen anymore. So they don't have pictures. Okay,
just
so they
to
don't
get
have
an energy
people without
of the person.
Yeah.
Actually, I have an interesting story about this.
Oh yeah. So pictures. It's 8 years. So pictures are more. Yeah.
Okay, fascinating.
So one very interesting thing is I always loved people with red hair. I love it.
Until she married.
And I actually always said I'm going to marry someone who has red hair. And when I saw his picture, one of my first thoughts was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be crazy. He has red hair. Like, what are the chances?
You know what I love? Here you thought, I'm going to have to compromise. And meanwhile, Hashem said, I'm going to give you everything and more.
Oh, yeah.
That's really beautiful.
So we had our parents meet us. And then on the way home, the shotgun called me and told me he wants to speak to my mother. Okay. And it's like a whole like, ooh. And she hangs up. I'm like, what was it? I don't have to talk to Tati first, So I said, I'm going to be married the girl. I'm going to marry her. And I would like to know. I think it should be my decision. So she told me she found out that the girl has Crohn's. So I said, okay, so let's call the roof. We follow my parents follow a certain roof, which I'm not going to say I don't follow, but he's a very special person. And let's ask him. He's very much involved in the medical field. His wife is, and let's see what he says. Why would I have to? I'm not gonna go on ChatGPT and figure out everything there is to know. So the next day we did that, and he said he wants to speak to the doctor, and the doctor was on vacation, and everything takes time. And then he told. I don't think he spoke to the doctor. He told my mother what to ask, and based on that, it was it's not a problem. We could continue. So that took a week, and then we met. And
I should share my end.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, when you heard that Yossi was okay with that information, what was that like for you?
So when I met his mother, the conversation was very much around medical stories. So I was sure that she knows, and that's why she's talking about this, because she knows that it's something that I'm interested in. And I was like, great, this is amazing. He knows I have this condition and he wants me. Amazing. Now we just have to see if person to person, if we're a good match. After that meeting, I found out that he doesn't know yet. And I was devastated. I was like, oh my gosh, this is all going to now just blow up. So I was very nervous. I was very upset because like I said, I was really strong about sharing this up front. Don't get me into something unless they know. It's just not worth it for me. Wasn't that desperate to get married. And then when they came back and said yes, I was pleasantly shocked. I couldn't believe it.
I can't imagine from age 16 believing that this is something that might hold you back from your dream, and then being in a position of, wait, what?
Yeah.
I'm accepted.
And people had
They're
said
okay
no.
with it.
People had been suggested. They found out about it and they said no. So it was a very real possibility.
And like when they said no because of this challenge, what was that like for you?
I don't think I ever took it really hard, to be honest. I still had that belief that I will get married. I still had that belief I will get married. Again, my second thought after first thinking, like right after my diagnosis, thinking I'm not going to get married, my second thought was I will get married to maybe not the person I pictured, but somebody else. So I knew I was going to get married. It was hard knowing, okay, this is not it because of this. But at the same time, I was like, I wasn't in a rush, like I said, and
And
I didn't take it too hard.
And so you didn't internalize the information because you didn't look, it sounds like you also didn't look at yourself as someone that was less than. Like you had a very clear awareness of what you wanted out of life.
Yeah, very much so. Like I said, I processed things internally and I used that time. I would drive a lot on my own and just think about what I wanted in marriage. I would just always think about these things. So I always like to say that something very important, I think for everyone, is to very much develop a sense of who you are, especially someone with a diagnosis, who you are outside of your diagnosis. Your diagnosis does not define you. It's a part of you. And I feel like I spent a lot of time working on that.
And how beautiful would it be if we could tell a community that exact information? Oh, this diagnosis is a part of her. It's not who she is.
Yeah.
It's not who he is. Do you think it's possible for communities to try to be more flexible and suspend judgment on this expectation of perfection?
I think it starts with each individual believing that about themselves, walking around with this confidence and that aura, and then people pick up on it.
So you're teaching them through your own growth that this doesn't have to mean so much about me.
It's very unusual for someone, especially in the Hasidic community, to have such a serious medical condition, especially with my history, and to marry someone who doesn't have any health challenges.
Wow.
People are afraid of the unknown. That's why there's a stigma, because they don't know about it. Why would they take something they don't know? So it's not telling the community, you were mentioning telling the community to accept something. They can't accept something they don't know. They just have to become knowledgeable in different areas and understand. If you're involved in any organization, you would know that people with illness could have a life. If you're not involved, then any illness is now the word. You have the C word, and you have certain things like you can't imagine because you're not involved. You didn't do your research. You don't. It's unknown to you.
So when you initially heard about her diagnosis, what was your reaction?
It was very logical. Just called it off because I knew you could live. Illness doesn't define a person. And also, every marriage has issues. There's no perfection. There's no such a thing as I'm going to do so much research. I'm going to trick Hashem. Right? I know that there's issues and whatever, but I'm going to do so much research that I'm going to know everything. Also, in the literature world, also in the dating world, like I'm going to date so many times until I'm going to be 100% sure that I could live with this person. You can't trick Hashem. You can't know. And also the Yiddish way of dating, marriage and love is not about finding someone you love. It's loving someone you find. That's the Jewish way. I don't think Udam Rishon dated anyone. I'm not sure about it. I don't think so.
That's a really, really cool that's a really cool connection that Adam Rishon didn't date someone, but it was loving the person you found.
Yeah. And she, in the first date, she messed up badly. She was terrible.
And yet, he continued to choose her.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's echoing in my head a lot. That's beautiful.
There's always going to be so much work in marriage. I think the only difference between a healthy marriage and an unhealthy marriage is an unhealthy marriage will break you and a healthy marriage will push you to grow. So as long as you have that in the marriage, then it's a healthy marriage. Obviously, you want to be compatible. I think the most important thing is to share values, which is something also that I want to mention is that I feel that my illness really pushed me to develop values and figure out what are my values. And I think that's also a big reason why people with a medical condition tend to marry someone else with a medical condition because they have a certain same level of maturity. But when I met him, he had extremely strong values from his own life experiences, even if they weren't the same experiences as me, at least not all of them. I very much felt that our values very much matched.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like we all want to be the best version of ourselves, but we want to tap in at our convenience in a comfortable way, pleasurable way,
Yeah.
and growth doesn't happen that way.
Right. Life is most people say life is not a marriage is not a hospital, right? I think marriage is a hospital. It's not an emergency room. It is a hospital. Number one, every time you fall asleep, someone wakes you up. For sure. Like,
there's always another kid.
There's always life is very funny. There's no sleep. It's true. Once you get married, there's no sleep. But it's also an emergency room is always the adrenaline. It's like high highs, low lows, depressing. It's active. That's not what a marriage should look like. But there should be growth. You should be working on your health, on your emotional health, physical health. You should work. And I'm not gonna say that it's the husband's or the wife's job to do it, but through marriage it happens.
Each one has to do it for themselves, but the way that happens is by having that spouse to push you in the right direction. And if it's a healthy marriage, then it happens the right way.
Yeah, not being threatened by the push.
Right. And not expecting the other one to do it for you. Right. You have to do it, but it's not together, but it's together. It's not, you don't have to grow together. You don't have to be on the same page. Marriage is not about being at the same page. You could be completely different levels in life, but help each other, do it together.
And the same core values. I think that's important.
Do you guys give marriage classes?
To ourselves.
we always talk about these things.
Yeah.
That's really, really beautiful. Everybody wants a beautiful marriage, but oftentimes people don't realize what it takes to get there.
And they don't know what it looks like. We don't sit like this every single day. It doesn't look like this. This happens through time.
Yeah. And it shows. I want to know what you would tell someone, and then we'll go to you. What would you say to someone who is getting a shidduch suggestion and there's something about the person that's unfamiliar to them and they see it as a flaw and they don't really know if they want to go out with them? What might you say? I know it's a very generalized question.
I have people calling me. It happens sometimes. I wish maybe it should happen more often. People call me asking me, what's it like to have Crohn's? People ask me. They had a suggestion and they want to, or I had someone that their daughter was diagnosed with Crohn's and they wanted to know from me, what does it mean for shidduchim? And that's called doing research. It's like if someone has a business proposal for you and you don't know much about the field, but it's something that you could grasp, you would do information, you do research. You would find out if this is something that could work for you. To say no without knowing what you're saying no to, maybe it's a little arrogant.
I think that there's two kinds of people. I think there's a kind of person who will protect their ego at any cost, at whatever cost. And then there's a kind of person who will be open to growth and let go of their ego for the sake of other people and for their own sake, to grow and become a better person. And you actually told me this, that there's two kinds of people that have a medical condition. There's a kind that they pretend it doesn't exist. They don't show up to their doctor's appointments. They don't follow their treatment plans, and they just, they wish it away. And then there's the kind of people who follow what the doctor says. They show up to their doctor visits. They advocate for themselves, and they're on top of things. And I think that applies to anything, really. And that's something that was actually on top of my list when it came to getting married. And that's something I saw in him, is that he's the kind of person that will work on himself. Of course, every person has flaws. What do they do with those flaws?
Yeah. I feel like the two of you are very mindful living. You mindfully live.
Very much.
You mindfully live. Like, is this what we want? Is this where we want to live? Is this how we want to grow? And not everybody has been challenged where they're motivated to be mindful. Because for some people, they've been so comfortable that it's just a default or like a positive reaction to a life that they have. But when you're challenged and you want to choose for life to be better, you mindfully have to restructure your brain. And it always leads to an enrichment of your life. It always leads to an upgrade in life. We'll be right back to our episode. But if you love to travel or you've always wanted to travel, then crank up the volume. I am seriously about to change your life. I just found out about this company called lalechet.org, whose mantra is the following: give us your wish list and we'll give you the world. This is a white glove service agency that takes care of everything when it comes to traveling from top to bottom. They're available 24/6. They'll take care of your airfare. They'll take care of your insurance. They'll take care of your itinerary. And get this, it won't just be done, it'll be perfect. And they offer 2 options. You can organize your own trip, whether you want an all-women's trip that you've always dreamed of, but just didn't know how to do, a family trip, a work trip. They can even charter a plane if you want something a little extra fancy and that just works for you. Or you can join one of their already curated trips. They have amazing trips that explore Jewish history with fancy meals. I mean, I don't know where this has been, but I know that this is a company I'll be using. So if you finally want the keys to the dreams that you've always had, but now you can finally make them reality, then check out lalechet.com to create that life that you no longer need to dream of, but can finally do. lalechet.com. They'll take care of all of it for you. Something that I admire about the two of you is this mindful living, is that you ask yourselves, like, how do we want to live? How do we want to take what we know and integrate it in our life? And I also feel like that takes a certain level of self-confidence to do something different. How did the two of you get there as a couple?
Talking to each other. I think we share a lot of concepts. Just we share knowledge. If I get I listen to a podcast, I listen to something, I will want to share it. I will want to discuss it and dive into it and apply it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say every time I listen to something that's motivational, I'm going to be motivated or it's actually going to last. It doesn't. It usually doesn't. But the more you do it, something will seep in. And if you do it on your own, it's very good. It's very recommended. But if you do it together, it's highly recommended. So, yeah, I think in Sheva Brachos, we were talking about chinuch. Like, it's so not applicable at all. Like, how we're going to raise our kids, it doesn't matter yet. But we're just having conversations of topics, concepts. And yet that helped a lot form our... But we also did it in dating. We didn't get to it yet. But
I'd love to hear quality conversations.
Right. Where are we up to? First of all, I mentioned Shadchan, and that I just want to clarify. There were 3 people involved. One person came up with the idea, and then a second person read it to us, a third person to her. So if it's complicated, it's just something that was on my mind.
Yeah, of course.
So go ahead.
I think it's very important to be open to not being perfect. My beliefs are not the most brilliant beliefs. And let me hear, especially as a wife in a traditional role, which we are very into, my role is to be influenced by him. Obviously, that doesn't mean I don't have my opinions. Of course I do.
She does.
But I'm very open to hearing what he has to say, and I'm very open to changing my opinions.
That is powerful. Being open to not being perfect. Trying to be perfect, it's exhausting, and it doesn't even make you happier because you can never be perfect.
And I think that when we are okay with letting go of believing that we're perfect, that's when we can also understand how our spouse is not perfect, but they're still a good person.
Yeah. Powerful. Thank you. So yeah, I didn't even realize there was more to the story. My apologies.
Again, there's not, but yeah, there is.
After you heard about...
This is your part to say. We met twice in a home, right? This is usually where the show happens.
In anyone's home Or
Well, we usually knock and we ask, can we come in? But no, it's like family. Either so the first time was in her house where they were living. The second time was in her grandmother's house.
Mhm.
But the way it's designed is it's not so comfortable because there are walls, right? We always say the walls could listen. So the first time, this is something most people probably don't know. It's the girl and boy don't just meet. It's the parents coming together, sit on a table, share some pleasant, like what's the weather.
even if
And
the
how was-
parents are divorced, they'll come
No,
in.
so it was whoever was representing me and whoever was representing her. So I'm assuming in blended situations, maybe there is such a thing, but usually, it was my mother and her mother.
Okay.
And we were at a table, and then at some point the parents go out to a different room and were to talk, prompted to talk. And it goes on for an hour. Someone comes in to check, let's say every 20 minutes. Is it going well? What's the code word? No, but yeah, sometimes people would probably have like a wink if it's not going well.
Mhm.
And that's it. Then you think about it. I guess the next day you give an okay to go out again. So we went I think it was the next day or the day after. The next day we had another
Wednesday
one.
and Thursday.
Right. So we met the second time. So the second time the parents didn't come in. My father waited outside the car. Her grandmother was there, puttering in the kitchen. But it's still not very Heimish.
Mhm.
So we met the second time at my grandparents' house, and then our conversation was, what happens is after battle, let's say an hour, the parents will come in and be like, okay, do you want to finish up? I guess that leaves room for like, if it's not going well,
Yeah.
to end it. But it was going well. So we asked for more time. So we had about another hour. And then we were cut off for like, okay, they were like, okay, this is it for today.
It was like we have to go back from Muncie to Borough Park.
I love that. I'm going to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Your date is only an hour or maybe an hour and a
Someone
half.
checks in on you. You can't. Yeah, that's very good.
I'm just putting it out there for the whole world. It's a great idea.
Set a timer and leave.
Instead of a commitment of 3 hours
Yeah.
or 4 hours or 3.5 hours, an hour date. I'm just saying I might be a little Hasidish in that area moving forward. Okay.
The shidduch system works for many people. It does. It really does.
So he was in the middle of talking about a certain topic, and that's when we were cut off.
Mm-hmm.
And I went home very confused. I got a certain idea.
It was about pop culture. I made a kind of like a business reference to pop culture. I don't have to go into the exact thing, but I kind of like a news headline. I referenced into but it was pop culture. It wasn't something a Chassidish boy would know about.
Yeah.
Right. And I assumed that if he knows so much about pop culture as a Chassidish man, what else is going on underneath that I'm not seeing? I read into it a lot, and I said, no, it's not for me. So my uncle was one of the shadchanim.
On her side, right?
And he said, what if I get you to talk to someone so you could, talk about all your concerns and see, is it real or is it not? So he got me on the phone with someone he was very close to. He's like an influential figure. And I told him, I don't know what else is going on. Like, what is underneath?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I can assure you what you see is what you get. Don't think into it. If he spoke about it, that's all there is. And the fact that he spoke about it shows he's not hiding anything.
Ooh, that's very powerful. Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'll meet him again. But this time I wanted to have more of like a date, not in the house.
Right. So I was asked about having a date based on experiences my friends had. I wasn't gonna pick her up and drive her, like eat out. That's not. I was willing to date, go out, but not. It's very pressuring to have to knock on the door, wait 15 minutes till she gets ready, and then have some awkward conversation with a brother or a parent, and then open the door and drive. It's very, especially for a Chassidish boy that doesn't get the driver's license at 16, like a permit, and doesn't really talk to girls a lot, and to now do both. It's like chewing gum and walking steps. It's not easy. And it's like, no, it's very difficult. Directions, you're not familiar going into the city. You don't know where you're heading. You have to find parking, and it's very difficult. And I wasn't going to do that. So we made up to meet at a hotel lobby.
So I drove in my car, he drove in his car, and we met.
So we were there till the lights went out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my phone kept buzzing, but it's impolite to check.
So did mine.
And so we could go into conversation. So over there, she asked me a few questions, and I didn't give the basic, like, it's a very common thing. The last time you meet, you ask, like, which schools are you going to send to? And you say, like, whatever popular school. If you're a Satmar, you're going to say Satmar. I went to. And
that's what I expected.
You try to say the right answers.
Yeah. And I said I would say kind of controversial things, but things I really believed in, and it's still true. So you asked, I think this is what you asked me how we get to, because I was very upfront, and I didn't say radical things. I don't think I said radical things. I said slightly controversial things, but I had what to back it up with. It wasn't just, I believe in that guy.
You didn't pretend to be a person you thought you were supposed to be.
You
showed up as yourselves.
A trajectory. I had a belief that I built on.
Yeah.
It's not that,
His values.
I had my values that I kept working on. And I kind of, I'm still true to those. We just, certain things in our life is like funny that I actually mentioned that in that.
It was in theory back then, but now it's reality.
Yeah. Wow. And that's that's the person you were getting to know. That's the lifestyle you were agreeing to. It only services us to be honest. And when we're in a setting where we think we have to be the opposite because of shame and insecurity, how can that lead to a cohesive, healthy relationship when you didn't get to know who they are, but who they thought they had to be?
Right. So first, the person has to have a belief. And not everybody at 21 has a belief or an idea of where they want to go.
Yeah.
So, Baruch Hashem, this person she called then, that's actually the person that put in a lot of the foundation that I have now. And he taught me how to find people to listen to, like who is a person worthy of teaching you something. It's not just every podcast is
right.
Get
really good support and guidance.
Right. So he actually put the groundwork for that. And so, as I said, not everybody should be, don't be honest. You can't be just blatantly honest, because that's a recipe for disaster. You have to say what you want to say, but you have to be very careful. You have to be able to back it up and to explain it in a bite-sized way so the person understands it and not just goes home confused.
So you have to be intentional, meaning you want to present the best version of yourself.
Right.
So you don't want to say all your flaws without putting...
Not just flaws, but even ideas that you want to do.
Of course. I understand,
Don't say I want to move to Israel without being able to explain how and what and why.
And what you're sharing right now is even more profound than everything we're discussing, which is get to know who you are.
Yes.
Develop into a person, because I would imagine anyone in dating in any community, the question is, I spoke to a client about this right before I came. She said, I don't even think I want to get married for the right reasons. I don't even know who I am.
Yeah.
Let's encourage everyone to be more intentional about themselves, their choices, their life. The more tapped in we are to truth, the better our life will be.
Yeah, and pain feels less painful because you find purpose in it.
Exactly. Wow, this has been really, really special. Listen, my brother lives in Hollywood, Florida, so really that should have been enough. Shout out to Noach and Michal, but
they're so nice.
They are so nice. Yeah. They are so nice. And if you're looking for a house in Florida, Noach Gradko's your guy. And if you're looking for great clothing, Adina Las Vegas is your place to go. But after meeting the two of you, I'm like, okay, now I really need to come to Hollywood, because I feel like I just feel like you're quality people, and that's what I try to surround myself with. But you live far, so it makes me feel all sad, but that's okay. We'll make our way over. So as we're coming to a close, I want to ask you, Chana Hindy, and then Yossi, I'm going to ask you if there's anything that you want to share with everybody listening.
I feel like in the a lot of people are very shocked to hear that I only met him 3 times, and I really knew that he was the right one. And I really knew. I don't know if everyone feels like that after meeting him 3 times, but I think the way I approached the third meeting really solidified things for me. So I was very intentional with the questions I asked.
Mm-hmm.
Even a silly question like you mentioned, like where would we send our kids? Or where would you want to send your kids to? I I thought I wanted to hear the name of the school I went to. But I also wanted to understand what his values are behind his answers. So I very much connected everything he said, and I got a good idea of what his values are. And because I had my own values, I was able to really know, okay, this is the right one. And I left that date wanting to get married tomorrow. I knew.
Right. So the phone calls we got throughout the entire time was her mother calling the shadchan and calling her. Where are we? It's been hours. And
They were worried something happened to us.
yeah, so you called your mother.
I called my mother and she's like, what happened? I said, I want to get married.
Aww.
She's like, wait, are you safe? What? I'm like, forget everything. I want to get married. And 2 days later, we got engaged.
Yeah.
On
Tuesday night.
February 21, 2017, which is exactly 5 years to the date of when I got diagnosed.
Whoa. What do you think Hashem was telling you through that?
That I'm on the right track. What you believed back then, I showed you. Yeah.
So loving.
Yeah.
Wow. Powerful. What about you, Yossi?
So I'm gonna go off on a tangent. I want people to know that there's 4 levels of love, and we usually get stuck at level 1 or maximum level 2. I actually spoke to someone who is, I think, a life coach. Maybe he was being kind and nice, and he told me he never passed level 2, and he's in 65. Very nice person. But so there's ahava, achva, shulam, arayas. Ahava is tangible love that's based on something. I'm going to get something out of it. And that's very important. To start, I think every marriage, every relationship starts on that. You don't know more than 10. I'm going to get dinners, I'm going to get money, I'm going to get whatever you need to get to survive. That's the first level. The second level happens when you become friends. You start to rely on each other. So you're going to take out the garbage, I'm going to wash the dishes. And it's based on something, taking care of the kids, bringing in parnasa. That's the second level. And that's like very nice neighbors, very good friends on a very basic level. The third level of love is shulam. Shulam is when you understand that the other person has flaws and you love them despite of the flaws. You get to, okay, they have this and this issue, and maybe it's going to change, maybe it won't.
Make peace with it. Shalom.
You make shalom. You make shalom with a matzav. You have shalom. The fourth level is rayas. Rayas is friendship, like Dovid and Yonason, they say, is ahavas. Dovid and Yonason was you take a bullet for each other in a metaphorical way. You understand that not you love them despite their shortcomings. You love them because of their shortcomings, because their shortcomings make you a better person, right? That's the fourth level. And the same thing is with Hashem. Our marriage is a metaphor to our love for Hashem. We love other people, that's how we understand what. That's why you can only love Hashem if you understand what love is. Love is only as strong as its weakest link. And with Hashem, we are the weakest link. Hashem gives us an abundance of love. And many times we have our relationship with Hashem is, I love you because you're giving me something, right? You give me my consistent paycheck and I love you. I daven and whatever. Or the next level is, I have love for Hashem because I daven, I do certain things, and then you give me, right? I'm going to go to a certain kaver, I'm going to do a certain segula, I'm going to do a certain thing, but you're going to give me in turn something else. The third level would be where I make peace with it. Hashem gave me this situation and I love him despite it. The fourth level is, no, Hashem gave me a certain situation so I could grow, so I could become the person I am, or the person I'm supposed to become. And then I love Hashem. I love Hashem because of the shortcomings.
So powerful. So powerful. And I have to ask this before we end. I don't know if the two of you have ever considered this, but can we leave your email addresses in this episode? And if someone thinks that you might know someone for them, that you might be able to set them up, whether they have a chronic illness, whether they don't, but they just feel like they relate to the way that you relate to life. They feel like in their own chassidus, they relate to yours. And they think maybe you know someone that would appreciate me. Maybe in their community, they seem like they're different in a negative way, but you don't live that way and you see it otherwise. Can they reach out to you?
For sure.
I'm really bad at this, but they can try.
They can try.
They should reach out, and they shouldn't take offense if we're not currently available emotionally or physically, but we will try to help whoever reaches out to us. In general,
Okay.
we try to help.
Beautiful.
One more thing can I say? Because
Please.
it just came to mind.
Please. And we'll put your email address in the show notes.
Working boys could be very holy boys. That's something I want to say. People should know that if a boy works, it could be a real mila in the relationship.
I think
because
it
he
could be a
has
real green
real
flag.
life experience. And again, there are boys that do terrible things, but that's kind of in the past. It used to be a very big stigma for 30 years that a Chassidish boy that worked was like a no-no. He doesn't have good midas. He doesn't know how to really be in a relationship. In the last 5 years, it's proven to be otherwise. There are fantastic, good, real, solid boys that have, it's not just a heart of God, they have good midas. They have good relationships. Just do information. Find out what it is like to be 20, 21, 22 without having a job. And that's why they got a job. And try to be more open to taking a boy that has a job.
And what was the stigma that if someone had a job, then what did that mean about them?
I think for a very long time, people conformed more, and the ones that didn't conform may have had nagod midas. They may have not, because they fell through. Look, going off the derech means the derech became so narrow, so someone fell off. It's not that they went off the derech.
Wow.
So in their life, the derech of not going out to work at 25 or 30, they fell off. Not everybody that falls off is a bad person.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat what you said? Because I think it's so powerful
not
about
my-
going off the derech. Oh, it's not your words.
No, it's not.
But it's the first time I'm hearing them. Can you repeat them, please?
Going off the derech means the derech became so narrow that the person, your derech, not the derech is a very wide derech. The derech, this is mine. The derech is a reshus harabim doiraisa, which means it fits 600,000 people. That's a reshus harabim doiraisa. That's how big the derech is. You can imagine a street that 600,000 people could walk on. The biggest levaya you ever saw, that's how big the derech is. When your derech starts becoming so narrow, people start falling off. So the people you call off the derech are the people that don't fit onto your lane, that you made a bike lane in your derech. But really the derech is a very wide derech. So where were we up to? I don't remember. But yeah, so the working boys shouldn't fall off. They shouldn't, because nowadays we have great, good Hasidic, real Hasidic boys, like status quo people, but they have a job and they're very successful. They make a lot of money. They have good jobs. And they're not any less of the boy that's learning or pretending to learn or is still going with the suit and hat. And they're very good kids. Everybody's good, but we should try to reconsider the working boys.
Yeah. And Adam worked.
Yes, straight away. Actually, he had a very big job. Yeah.
I think it could be a real green flag, actually, because it shows that they do what's best for themselves and they don't fall into what society expects of them. And I think that's a huge quality in a person.
No, I like what you said. Adam worked even before the Chet. He had a job even in Gan Eden.
What was his job in Gan Eden?
He had to take care of the garden.
Oh, right. Of course.
Yeah, he had to name all the animals. He was
Of
busy. He
course.
was very busy.
Right.
In a few hours, he had to name all the animals. So Adam had a job. Even in Gan Eden we work.
Yeah.
So even in the perfect image, the Gan Eden you have, it's okay if the boy works. It's not. He's gonna go work anyway. 20. The Gemara says 23 out of 24 go work. So no, I understand. For many years we wanted that. Fine, it worked but now many many good boys
And
are struggling.
I think in the modern culture where we don't get to live together before we're married, I think this is as close as possible that you're going to get to finding someone that has real life experience and you get to see what are they like in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I hope people took out their notebooks because there was so much to learn from this episode. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that the two of you shared it and spent a year trying to make this happen. And my last question is, and Yossi, we'll start with you. What would you tell a Hasidish bacher who is listening and is really, really in the pits, struggling in shidduchim, and is feeling really, really down?
I don't know what it means. I don't know what it feels like. I forgot. You forget once you're out of it. I do remember, like the Rosh Hashanah before, I spoke to someone before I got engaged, and I told him I was going to turn 22. I told him, when I turn 25, I buy a shtreimel and a talis, and I'm married. Kind of like saying, I'm going to give up now on fun. Like I'm taking a step back. I'm not, whatever happens, 25, I put on my shtreimel and I'm married. Obviously, probably wouldn't have done it, although knowing me, maybe I would have. But it was more like I took a step back. And I would say I gave up. I didn't give up in the sense of falling into a depression, but could be I was a little bit giving up. But I gave up control. And I think, by the way, that's something you could talk about, maybe a whole different podcast, about not trying to control the outcome. And part of why we have this whole image is to control the outcome. I want to have a certain image going forth in my life.
Yeah.
But I want to say I can't imagine the pain. I don't know what I mamish don't know what it feels like. I'm sorry. I should. I didn't vacuum pack the pain and a little bit taking a step back and not trying to control every move.
Well, I appreciate your honesty, because not pretending to know an answer, but simply telling someone that you don't know is actually could be as healing as hearing an answer. So thank you. What about you, Chana Hindy? What would you tell a woman who's Hasidish and has something that's making her think that's why she won't be able to find someone that she wants to marry?
So I think this is even more of a general message for men, women, anyone waiting for anything. We're always waiting for something in life. When we got married, there was something else that came up, wanting to have a baby, money, anything. It could really be anything that we're waiting for. And when you're in that period of waiting, you don't know when it's going to happen or if it will ever happen. And it's extremely hard. So I think that instead of focusing on when is it going to happen, is it going to happen? I think learning to live in the moment, finding the purpose in the waiting. What is this waiting meant to do for me? What can I find in this moment? How can I grow? How can I prepare myself and be more ready for what I'm waiting for?
So powerful. What is this waiting doing for me?
More of that on Hope and Hindi on Instagram.
Oh my goodness. Hope and Hindi on Instagram. Everybody run. You tap that follow button right now. Wow. I want to go on for 2.5 more hours. I wish we could. And I'm so grateful for everything you've shared. It's exciting for people to know that there's more that they can see. And we'll have your contact information below. But I think that you've left a profound impact and turned your pain into purpose and given everybody a lot to think about. So thank you so much for coming in today. It's been an honor. Thank you.
It was an honor for me.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I know. How amazing is this couple? So brave and courageous too. The interview is still echoing in my mind, and there were so many important notes that I just don't want to let go of. And something I really admire about this couple is they said that they're willing to be shadchanim, to be matchmakers for anyone that connects to them and just thinks, maybe you know someone for me. Whether that's because you have a chronic illness, whether that's because you're Hasidish and feel like you're unique in your community and you want someone that would appreciate that, they welcome your contact. They welcome your resumes. So their information will be in the show notes below, whether that's on our streaming platforms, or you can reach out to Chana Hindy at ChanaHindyTauber@gmail.com. Her husband Yossi's number will be in the show notes because he's like I'm not checking my email. You can send me a WhatsApp. And I'm just really, really grateful to them for coming on. And if you are grateful, you know what to do. Let them know by leaving a comment below. Let them know how this impacted you. They gave so much, and it's so easy to give back. You can also send us an email if you have an idea or if you want to come on our podcast to soh@meaningfulminute.org. I love hearing from you, and be assured that you'll hear back from me. So thanks for being here. See you next week.